Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This video is brought to you by First Detachment Nutrition. Battle tested, expert formulated. Use discount code AB10 at checkout for 10% off. What's up, everyone? Another Saturday.
What's up?
Anabolic Bodybuilding Live. Just want to remind everybody, this will be up on Spotify whenever I remember to do it. Last week, I think it was like Wednesday. So don't drive and crash your car into a tree watching us on YouTube. Also, I have the Anabolics e-course on sale this weekend for 20% off. Good time to pick it up. AB20. The link is in the video description below. I think Kurt and I have something like 50 hours or so of content on there now, and 100 or so modules. I think it's a good value. I don't know. It's probably the most comprehensive performance-enhancing drugs e-course out there. And anyway, we got Jackie Caney on with us today, freshly minted IFBB Pro.
That's what's up. I got myself the gear and everything.
Are you going to get that belt with the IFBB Pro Jackie Caney on it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think I told Colin if for some reason I would get mine, I'm going to get it like a gold chain and hang the card from it and just wear it around.
Big Flavor Flav clock.
The actual card, though, like
yeah, right.
He's going to carry the giant check around with him. I told him if he wins, I'm going to get him one of those belts that says Paul Barnett IFBB Pro, but I'm going to put a little asterisk next to it. Since he got it in the Masters.
I don't even really care. I'm just out there having fun.
I'm just kidding.
we were laughing the other day. There was a guy in our gym that was an Olympian training, and he had his winter jacket on that said Mr. Olympia, and it was like 100 degrees outside. One of my friends was like, why is he wearing that winter jacket when it's 100 degrees outside? I'm like, bro, if I'm on the Olympia stage, I'm wearing that motherfucker 365 days a year.
Hell yeah.
the grocery shopping in your
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Nah.
Yeah.
So funny.
Needs the link for the podcast, by the way.
Who does?
Kolton.
Oh yeah. It's there he goes. He figured it out.
Okay.
What's up, Kolton?
Hey man, how's it going?
Hey. How's it going?
It's going good, dude. We're back in a functional country, so it's great.
So I got to ask you, what sparked the move, man?
Dude, honestly, there was a real estate venture in there somewhere, so I was like, I wanted to take advantage of that because I sold some real estate. I had a bunch of money, so I was like, I have to kind of move it around and be conscientious about it. But also, Thailand's great, man, but it is exhausting. Like every day is a battle just to like go through life to get in just to get a motorbike to the gym is insane. Like the traffic is deadly. People are yelling, loud noises everywhere. And it's also like always 40 degrees Celsius, like always, right? And 100% humidity. So it's a beautiful country and I'll definitely be back, but taking a little break from it and going into like a more well-developed country is definitely a little bit of a favorable venture for some time.
Yeah, what was the worst part, though?
The worst part?
Yeah, being in Thailand compared to the States.
The accessibility to people who speak English. Like it is very hard it's very isolating to like go through your day and not be able to speak to someone in full sentences.
Yeah.
And especially when you need something, you feel like a toddler trying to ask for it when you can't articulate how to ask for it. And it gets really frustrating after a while. Something as simple as water can be a very difficult process to get.
Yeah.
The food is so cheap, though.
It's so cheap, yeah. I compared the bills, and it was like, moving to Canada is like a 200% increase in the cost of food alone, which is insane.
Yeah, I have some clients that are in Canada, and the food costs up there even more than they are here in the States.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't know how people live here, to be honest. It's crazy. Like a kilogram of chicken costs $20. It's just nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. So like,
Yeah,
you know,
it keeps
$8,
going up.
$9 a pound.
Yeah, exactly.
Paying for that premium grade moose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moose meats.
Moose.
Wonder what the essential fatty acid profile is. On moose meat.
Grass fed, right? Pastured
That's,
moose.
that's true. It's
Pastured.
grass fed.
Or you could eat probably an entire year off of one moose.
Oh, for sure. More than
Yeah,
that,
for
probably.
sure.
They're like a ton,
Yeah.
aren't they? They're like literally
Yeah,
a ton.
huge. Yeah, they're so big.
That's
Yeah,
the
I've never
dream.
seen one in person until like the last year. It was a couple years ago. I was like, holy crap, those things are way bigger than I thought they were.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen a few in my life.
Yeah, we used to own a camp up in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, just like 4 hours above us in Mass. And after dinner, growing up as a kid, we'd literally go what's called moose patrolling. So you just eat dinner, and then we'd just jump in the truck and just go looking for moose, and you'd find 20 would be like small amount. You know, you'd see maybe close to 50, 60 on a good night. You know, but they're huge. Yeah.
What am I doing wrong in my life that I've never seen a moose?
I'm up here.
I mean, you do live in Detroit. I'm sure you've seen way more interesting things.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Fair.
There's some wildlife there for sure. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
do
but
get so accustomed though to the animals you see, like living in Colorado, you know, like bighorn sheep and like moose and deer and elk, and like you get so immune to it, I think. And then I think like, oh my gosh, if I saw a tiger or like a rhinoceros, like I would be like losing my mind.
Yeah.
Whereas like I just see a bighorn sheep cross the street and I'm like, this isn't convenient.
He's deprived.
I'm in Washington, D.C. We just see politicians and government contractors.
That's scary.
That sounds more
It is.
depressing than Detroit.
Yes, it is definitely more depressing than Detroit.
Only moose tracks I see are in the ice cream aisle.
Touché.
I did grow up in the country, though. I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, so there was some wildlife there. And not most of it was human.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Humans
get
are
mountain
real
lions
animals.
around here quite a bit too.
Yeah. Yeah, we got American, bald eagles flying right outside our house constantly.
Yeah, there's a big nest right on our pond that we live on.
Yeah.
It's so patriotic of you.
I know.
There you go.
Yeah.
God bless America.
Mhm.
So how does it feel to be a pro, to call yourself a pro? Is that weird?
It is weird. It hasn't fully sunken in yet, but man, does it feel incredible. All that hard work that you put in year after year, but yeah, has not sunken in yet.
It's awesome.
I was joking before we came on that everybody has their 2-year plan to turn pro. Like I get bros that'll reach out to me like, you know, I'm going to do this local show. I'm going to take first in my class, then do the regional show, and then I'm going to go to nationals and get my pro card. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's never going to happen. And then Jackie actually did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was like trying to set myself up in a good spot for many, many years. Like I didn't want to compete really until I felt fully ready. Like I'd bring a good package to at least, pull out a good.
Good performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do.
How many years did it
go ahead,
take to
Colton.
get to this point?
What was
Oh,
that?
there's the question right there.
How many years did it take to get to this project?
6 now.
Yeah,
right?
it's like I'm going on 6.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty typical. 5 to 6 years, I think, is sort of the bare minimum, right? I would say. Wouldn't you think, Colton?
Yeah, I'd say the continuum is like 5 years minimum, 10 years maximum to get like that pro card.
So all things considered, you did it pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I remember the first day. I think Paul shown before her first picture she ever took.
Yeah, I'm
before
going to
she
bring it up.
stepped in the gym, but I remember the first day bringing her into the gym. She wanted to get in a little better shape and whatnot, and it was really just kind of getting healthy and having a certain look. You know, she was more thinking kind of looking like a bikini girl. Never even knew anything about figure, and it probably wasn't but 3 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago, let's say, did she really switch her focus into this is going to be for competitive bodybuilding, and that's going to be my goal, to chase down the road. So she did have plenty of time in the gym building it up, but then you know how it is, diet gets better, it goes from being very elementary to more goal orientated and so on. So but it did happen quick, and I'd say probably since the last year I was helping you out, and then Paul and Karina, probably the past 2 solid years were her biggest improvements by far.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that last off season I had was like super short, and the amount that we accomplished was insane.
Yeah.
So
I felt like the shorter off season, like I had a shorter one this year, is actually a little more productive. You don't have time to get fat.
yeah.
There's always time to get fat.
Yeah.
Not that you ever get fat, but it's like it sets you up for. I've noticed this, and it seems like the people that compete more frequently tend to make more progress.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think that only works if you're like absolutely dialed, though, right? Because like so many people like treat the off season like it's an off season and not like that is the time to make improvements, right? And like for Jackie, who was on point every single day of the off season, like you can make huge improvements.
Look at that string bean.
I know, right? 98 pounds right there. I'm trying to remember what year the picture on the right was.
Probably a year and a half ago, I think.
Well, it said
130, 4.5 years from
so that was a 4.5 year.
98 weeks. Yeah, so that's 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's awesome.
And I was looking in the mirror one day and I'm like, here I am. I think I was like 25 in that picture. And I'm like, I'm 25 and I'm getting skinny fat. I see some flabbiness going on. Things need to change.
Mm-hmm.
They changed.
Meanwhile, I've been over here grinding away for 30 years.
Right.
Yeah,
That's my first show.
Yeah, that's the first one. And then let's find the pro card. Is that
Yep.
this?
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just nutty.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my my
Pictures
actual
don't do you justice. Like I saw how
Yeah,
built you are.
Yeah.
Like the glutes, that's insane.
That's
Wow.
You
insane,
don't see
dude.
that in females.
That's not even the full video. When I like go all the way around, it just fires and fires and fires. It's
Absolutely nutty.
Yeah, Dave was like, stay right there. I need to take a video of your ass.
It's not for the reason you think.
That's That's my cold open line.
You know, I was going to mention too, it's funny that Jackie kind of had said that wanting to step on stage when she kind of had a package she was happy to present. And sometimes I think that's a double-edged sword. Luckily, it worked out for her. But I have some people that I've had some people over the years I've had to kind of tell them, you need to step on stage if this, sooner than later so you can get the feedback and truly understand where you're at. Because I think a lot of people underestimate the competition that's really out there. You always think you're the big fish in the sea when you're the big guy in your gym, but that's just one small group of people. So I'd consider those that are out there that are thinking, well, I'm going to wait till I'm 240 shredded to step on stage. It's just not going to happen, and you probably won't do as well with that approach. So
that and you just need to learn how to get on stage, present. I mean, presentation's a big part of it too. Like it's just getting over the nerves, getting up there, learning how to pose.
Yeah.
What's just Dave, it can be harrowing backstage, man. Shit moves fast.
Yeah.
And some guys are like a deer in the headlights and freeze up when they get up there. So just getting over that part of it and getting experienced on that. So I mean, most people I would say have competed in 5, 6, 7, 8 shows before they turn pro.
Yeah.
That's pretty typical. Yeah, maybe more.
Were you able to get feedback, Jackie?
I didn't get it yet. I'm going to get feedback from the same judge that I got last time because it was pretty much the same judge panel, maybe just like 2 different ones, which was great. So I'm going to touch base with them through Instagram in a couple of days since the show ends today.
Yeah.
I feel like judges give 2 types of feedback: get bigger or get more shredded. That's the only ones I ever hear.
I've had a dilemma actually with this the past 2 weekends. I've had multiple competitors in the same show, and they've gotten the exact same feedback word for word.
Yeah.
And it turns out all the judges were just copy pasting the feedback to every athlete. So they'd have like bikini feedback, they'd have physique competitor feedback, and it was just like 2 shows in a row. And I was like, this is insane. There's no, I had 3 competitors, all of them got the same exact feedback. I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. Like that's kind of strange.
Yeah.
But
Luckily, I know that I know Justin Randall on like more of a personal level, so I'll get good feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I like. It's so invaluable to get that kind of feedback because it sets you in the right direction right away in an off season.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, last year we were able to get feedback, both of us, when we competed together. That was pretty detailed, telling us our strengths, what looked good, what needs big improvements, and what's kind of on the edge of something to focus on. So I think also people need to put some effort into asking for your judging feedback, provide good photos, provide an explanation of where you're at, or whatever. Just make it easy for them to give you good feedback if you expect it. So
in their defense, I'm sure these guys get overwhelmed with requests for feedback. I mean, I'm sure they've got hundreds of people coming at them asking them for stuff. I can't imagine. I mean, I don't know. I would never want to judge. That is a long ass day. I don't know how you tell the difference between anybody.
Yep.
I wouldn't have the attention span for it.
Yeah, a couple of the judges that I know, they were actually on prep themselves. So
Oh,
boy.
freaking day.
yeah. Well, think
That's why they
about
had to
you.
take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, think about you send out like 100 feedbacks to people, right? How many of those people are going to email you back on, well, how would you like me to improve my back? How do you suggest I go about? It's just a lot of work for them to go through. So must be a headache, but make it easy for them to give you good answers if you can.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who's a head NPC judge that I'll just go to him, bring my pictures, and ask for stuff, and he's pretty candid about things. So it's like, and I think that's a better form of feedback. And then it's nice, like with us, we have a nice circle of people that can give you actual good feedback on stuff. I don't want somebody yanking my chain and blowing smoke up my skirt, telling me something that's not real.
We actually got an NPC judge an ex-NPC judge that judged for 6 years that's at our gym that we're going to start coaching soon. So that'll be kind of good to have someone that has experience of a set of eyes that, looks up to us enough to take our advice. And I'm going to use that as a tool for sure,
Yeah.
Lucas wants to know, Jackie, what was your post-victory meal?
So it kind of sucked because all the restaurants that we were calling weren't answering their phones because it was 4th of July. So they were just like totally, crazy. So we had to settle for like this pizza shop, and I just got a cheeseburger, and I also got a crispy chicken sandwich. And then that came with double fries. I didn't eat them all. And then 2 brownies, 1 cookie, and I think that was it. So
it's pretty good.
Pretty solid.
The breakfast,
Good effort.
Though.
Yeah, the breakfast was pretty good.
Yeah.
What the heck? I'm like,
she had, what'd you get? Waffles, omelet?
oh yeah, that's right. The Belgian waffles. I got a egg and cheese omelet. And it had all like the fruit on the side. I had a good
chocolate
latte.
Chocolate
croissant.
bougie coffee,
Those are the best.
Hell yeah.
ASMR warning for the autistic bros that are watching the live stream. I'm going to eat my food while
don't let anything get in your way, Paul.
Yeah.
People are funny about that. Like, you can't eat. No, you just don't eat like this. This is me up.
Eat that banana, Paul.
I'm like, dude, chill the fuck out already. Seriously, I'm about. I mean,
What
like,
you said?
Yeah.
The fucking screenshot, Paul.
I know.
I can't wait to still shot that later.
The way it was just coming into frame. Have you seen those Omegle videos with the guy who has the Kermit the Frog puppet?
Yeah. Those are hysterical.
He brings a little cucumber up out of frame like this.
When we actually left left Mass to travel to New York for the show, we get about halfway there, and Jackie goes, "Oh my God, I forgot something," and I'm thinking it's important. And it kind of was the most important, but least important in the same time. But she forgot all of her like homemade treats and cake that she had to make.
I still have a whole cake in the fridge. It's
Oh,
not even
no.
touched, so I plan on cutting it up and
You have
giving
to
it
eat
to my
that
family.
tonight, Jackie.
I'm just gonna have one slice.
The
That's all I
whole
want.
Yeah. Don't tempt her. If
You see
anyone
my
knows
co-host
Jackie,
here?
will eat it all.
Oh, puppy.
He's got valuable insight.
He's there for the banana.
It's got, oh, here's Roman.
Shit, Roman's here.
Let's get Roman on.
Oh my god.
Now it's a party.
Yeah.
We're here congratulating Jackie for getting her pro card this week.
Oh, welcome to the club.
Thank you.
She's a female version of you to a point that can eat ungodly amounts and just stay shredded 24/7.
Yeah, Karina worked with her on her prep, and I did Jackie's off season. What was it, like 2 years ago? I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I just I'm like, all right, I'm just going to give her a little more food this week and see what happens. And I don't know that I ever found an upper limit. Like, I just, like, you were eating more food than most guys.
Yeah.
I think
Dude.
my high days with you
Like
got up
7?
to, no, it was like 800
800
carbs.
grams of carbs, yeah.
That's nuts. What the fuck?
Yeah, and she, like,
Loved
never
it.
got fat at all.
What the fuck?
Always super lean. But that's the sort of freak metabolism that turns you pro, right?
Thanks to my dad's genetics.
That's nuts. How much do you weigh?
I'm like, right now I'm like 129, 130.
800 grams of carbs. That's insane. That's
Yeah,
nuts.
and when I was with Paul, I was like 125.
Yeah.
Wow.
The high end. Yeah.
That's
Roman,
insane.
do your parents have good genetics? Like, is your dad and mom someone that stays skinny all the time, or got fast metabolism?
I think they both can eat. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's somewhat genetic.
Is metabolism genetically passed down? I mean, I imagine Colton would know.
It's so difficult because there's like 100 different genomic traits that can alter metabolism, but in some part it's going to be, yeah, for sure. It's also like epigenetic too, like your environment in womb and out of womb, like immediately after birth, is pretty important with like what your diet is, how they treat you, all those kind of things.
Right.
Yeah, there's
I'm
really
German.
fascinating research. The Dutch hunger study or the Dutch famine study is a really interesting thing to look at because there were gestating women in all different phases of gestation, like when the famine started. So if they were able to track these people then throughout their life and looking at things like rates of obesity, rates of depression, rates of suicide in all these different kind of gestational populations where the famine, was their mom very close to delivery when the famine came? Was she newly pregnant when the famine started, or did she get pregnant during a time of severe underfeeding? It does show, though, that there is definitely a link in some way, more the epigenetic probably expression of it, just kind of that, are you born with a somewhat innate desire to need to overfeed to make up for famine that was experienced by your parents? It's interesting. It's really
That's
interesting.
really
And we could never replicate that because obviously it would be unethical to starve humans, but
Dang it.
getting that data, it is pretty cool to see, especially from a nutritional therapy standpoint. There's nothing else really like it.
Yeah, I remember reading that study, seeing it. It was pretty fascinating. My dad can hammer some food. Oh my God, my dad's a little guy. He's like 5'5", and he was always like 160 pounds until he got in his 70s, and then he got a little chubby. But he would, oh my God, he would just eat, like, he literally lived off of fast food and snack cakes and always had abs.
Your dad was 5'5". How tall is your mom?
5'6", 5'5". Yeah, they're both like 5'6". I don't know where the hell I came from.
Yeah. How tall was the milkman?
Damn.
I don't know. I asked my mom.
It's funny. My metabolism was terrible in it. I've built it over, some years of just putting more food down and then being able to train more. But, myself as an alcoholic, I had just done damage to my metabolism kind of system in so many different ways. But luckily it's bounced back quite well for me. But my whole family's the opposite of me. Like, they're small eaters. They're big people, but they're small eaters, 1 meal a day kind of scenarios because of their work situation. So it's interesting how it can change over time, your metabolism.
We had to pull your food down pretty hard last year, and this year we got you eating a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still eating a fair amount, and you're dropping quickly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I found that's usually like with my goal with an off season, usually what I'll try to do. And this is sort of a tactic I learned from Justin is I'll just slowly start ratcheting up the food and seeing what I can get away with. Like, I'll push it up to like where you might be just getting a little bit fluffy, and then I'll pull it back down a bit and see what I can get away with. And I find that like over usually it's not the first show, it's usually the second show where I can get people, like I can get them eating a lot more food and get lean. That first show usually I have to starve people, and then the second show I can keep them with a lot more food.
The first prep's always the most trepidatious when it comes to like pulling food. It's always going to be disgusting, but after you have like an appropriate off season and it's calculated and tactful, it's like then that second prep, third prep is so much easier. You get that first one done, and it's like then I find that after every show, the food you can push and stay lean is much higher by at least like 200 to 300 calories, and it's like subsequently every show thereafter, it's like you continue to kind of develop a better response to the food partitioning.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, every show I've done, I've been able to eat more. I mean, this year, goddamn, I feel like I'm on an off season. It was like there's days I'm having a hard time getting the food down.
Yeah,
I know, Roman, you have to. I don't know how you put down the food you do, man.
This week was tough. This week I was really struggling and fighting because Kurt, gotta be honest, I talked to Kurt a little bit, like we said on the last podcast. I increased my food due to his suggestions, and I don't know why. It wasn't a lot of extra volume, but for some reason it was still tough. So I reduced my protein a little bit, and it's still today. Today's the first day where I actually feel somewhat okay. I think my digestion is just getting used to it. But the last 3 or 4 days, I was almost getting somewhat frustrated because I thought, man, if this is the only way to make progress from here on out, I don't know how I'm supposed to do that for the next, for the years I have left, for like let's say I have 5, 6, 7 years, something like that left.
Yeah.
I'm like 43 or 2.
How much can you put into perspective how much you're eating?
I sent my plan to Kurt. It was 1,200 carbs, and we added 350. We added 300 carbs, so it's 1,500 straight
every day. Oh man, dude, that's nuts.
What do you do for protein, Roman? Are you with the amount of carbs? Do you like a gram a pound or 1.5 grams a pound kind of protein person?
I had 75 grams 6 times a day.
Ooh.
And I cut it down. So but only the real protein, not the rice protein and all that.
Direct.
Yeah, and I cut it down to 60 now. And now 60 feels better.
Yeah.
But I still can't get over the hump of eating protein. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not eating any protein when I see 60 grams worth of protein on the plate. It looks way less than 75.
Yeah.
So, and you're like, oh shit, is this enough? Is this enough? I mean, I'm sure if you ask Justin now, he would say it's enough. Yeah.
Yeah, Justin trimmed my protein back. I don't eat a ton of protein.
He always does his calculation with how much protein, how much muscle can you build in a day, and then he lays it all out, but which makes sense. But then in 2007, in Flex magazine, there was a little article with Dennis James, and supposedly he was quoted with saying that once I increased my protein to 500 grams a day, I made the best gains of my life from there on out. Yeah. And that's what I did in 2007. I increased my protein to 500 grams a day and never looked back. So this is the first time since 2007 where I'm not eating 500 grams of protein.
Yeah. I will say I was working with Blue Taylor, and he had me eating like,
I'm sure he had you eating.
Yeah, like 10 ounces 6 times a day type of shit. So it's a lot of protein. But I will say, like, notably, my physique was different for it. Like, it looked better. I felt denser. I felt like, and I don't know what this is, right? Because still my carbohydrates were high. The only thing that had changed was my protein. but it was notably different. And I think there is something to higher protein. Obviously, 1 gram per pound of body weight, I don't think is suggestible to a lot of athletes like ourselves, or just bodybuilders who have more body mass than the average individual. But there is something to the higher protein. But I think when you're eating that much carbohydrates, it's like, Jesus Christ, like, I mean, that 1,500 grams of carbohydrates plus 75 grams of protein per meal, that's nuts, dude. That's hard to put down. You know, and
Yeah.
I think it really just boils down to if your body can handle it.
yeah.
How do you digest that?
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. And then I was worried about my midsection, because if I have one thing, that's my midsection. If I blow that midsection out, I'm completely average from head to toe. At least I have that going for me. So if I ruin that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fucking hell, man. Are you for those 1,500 grams of carbs, what are you eating typically? Is it rice and
Rice, and I pour that rice syrup stuff over it, and or honey, or just liquid intra-workout drinks.
yeah. Damn, dude. Kudos to you, brother. That's insane.
It's the best job in the world still.
Hell yeah.
What's up?
Oh, I did get the strawberry frosted flakes this week
They're
for
so
my
good.
for my
I
high day.
found them.
What did
They're
you
really
think?
good.
They're very good, and the
They're
milk
so
does
good.
taste like strawberry milk.
That's what it means.
Oddly enough, it's like one of the only ones they have in Thailand is the strawberry.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They have cinnamon Captain Crunch, like just cinnamon Captain Crunch now.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Right. Yeah, it's awesome, but it's literally, I think, 0 fat. I think it was either 0.5. It was the lowest fat cereal I could find as well.
What was that, Dave?
Cinnamon Captain Crunch.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Have to try
Yeah,
that.
it's basically like the peanut butter bits. There's no berries, and it's just like cinnamon dusted or
That
coated.
sounds good.
I have to
Really
check
good.
it out.
Yeah.
Frosted
Captain
Flakes.
Crunch though just destroys your mouth.
Oh, it
Can you
does.
eat more than one bowl of Captain Crunch without bleeding?
I let it sit in my cashew milk for a little bit.
Soften it up.
That's
You
part
get-
of the fun of a high day,
develop-
is having a cut up mouth.
You develop calluses if you're.
Yeah.
I've been
gotta
having
stick with
issues
it.
with when I'm taking insulin and doing my carbs, that I get these crazy jaw pumps, like my jaw muscles start
Yeah.
cramping
I've
up.
had that before.
I've had those.
That's the best shit.
I'm sitting there chewing on Swedish fish, and I have to stop because I'm getting a jaw cramp.
Take a rest, yeah.
I'm like, oh damn. And you can see it. I don't know. It's hard to see in my face, but you can see I have like cuts.
Get some
You have jaw
massive
striations.
masseters.
I have jaw. It's hard to see up close, but I have striations in my jaw.
Oh, man.
Fuck the jazzercise. Just take some insulin and do high days.
That's the when the judges need a tiebreaker, they look to the jaw
Yeah.
striations.
Mhm.
I'm going to do my peak a little bit differently this year. I'm going to try the AJ method of slamming the Winstrol going into the show and see what happens.
I was gonna try that too. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to lead the way. We'll see what happens. I've done it with a couple of my clients, and it's worked really well.
Are you reducing anything, or just?
I dropped the injectables a week out,
Yeah. Okay, of course.
and then
So-
go to
So you're taking the oral Winstrol.
yeah,
How much?
200 milligrams a day. We'll go up to.
I would still shoot that.
That's nuts.
Yep.
I would be
It's-
worried that I can't eat.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
If it works, it works.
I got to get a little fat in. I think the key is you got to get a little fat in with the, like maybe take like a fish oil pill or something with it, because I think you need fat for it to absorb properly.
Do you see people dry out quick with the high dose Winstrol, just in
Yeah.
the nature of Winstrol? Yeah.
I tell you, so what I did is I started it last week, 25 milligrams, and I'm at 50. And then the 10 days out, I'll start tapering up to the 200, and then it's 200 the last 7 days, and then drop all the injectables the last 7 days. So we'll see what happens. But man, I'm already feeling it in my joints, because I'm at 50 right now, and everything feels super tight. It's like I have to be careful lifting. I was very, very meticulous with my form last night. I feel like I could just rip something right off the bone right now. Everything's so dry.
Yeah, listen to your body for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not trying to push any heavy weights right now. It's not,
Yeah, you
not
better
trying
be
to
careful with that shit, man. That
Yeah.
would be the worst fucking thing to happen right now.
I mean, when do you always hear about guys tearing things?
Yeah.
It's the last 2 weeks
3,
before
4
show.
weeks out, yeah.
Or right after.
Or right after.
Yeah. You have that rebound in strength. I always tell my guys to be careful, kind of taper back. You're going to grow regardless. You don't need to throw heavy weights at it right after the show. I know it's tempting, but you're going to just putting food back in, you're going and pulling fat burners down, you're going to grow.
Yeah. Do you keep the growth hormone out when you say all injectables for the week?
I mean, AJ says he pulls it.
Yeah.
So
I think it's person dependent too. I mean, some people it seems not to be an issue.
Yeah, I tend to flatten out. That's the issue with me. I think my issues, being hard and dry has never been an issue for me. It shows it's being flat has been my issues. It's been my issue.
Yeah. Same thing. Like if I pull growth, my body's so fucked as long as I have, if I have one day where there's not as much nutrition going in or like growth hormone comes out or something like that, it's like I flatten out instantly. It's very hard to stay full. So if I pulled growth hormone, I feel like it would be detrimental especially those last 4 to 5 days.
I'm keeping the GHN until like 2 or 3 days out, and then I'll dump it.
You have a tough time filling back out with your estrogen being so low. For some people have a tough time filling back out when their estrogen's crushed.
That's what Humalog is for.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
You'll fill out with Humalog and some carbs. That'll get it done. And also, people I've talked to, a lot of guys now, and I think John Jewett may even do this, is they take Anadrol on show day to kind of fill out a little bit. Have you done that before, Roman?
Only injectable.
Only injectable.
But I haven't done any extra Anadrol. I just had the Anadrol all like 2 weeks out.
Yeah. But you did it on the day of the show as well?
In the morning, no.
Okay.
I think the only thing I've done in the morning of the show was a little bit of Superdrol tablets.
Mm-hmm.
But I had the Superdrol in before that also.
In the past, it's always been Anavar and Halo for me. That's usually what I run going into the show.
It seems like as time passes, the preferential peak week PEDs changes in a sense, like Winstrol to Anavar to Winstrol, or Anadrol to Superdrol, Superdrol to Anadrol, and it kind of changes back and forth like every couple years.
Hi,
What's up, Brian.
Hey. Hello, everyone. How you doing?
Good.
I just experimented last year. Because I had 10 shows, and I experimented around a little bit whenever every other show I did something different.
Out of the 10, what did you feel was your best approach?
I looked the hardest on Winstrol, Masteron, Test, Superdrol. I looked a little bit fuller when I swapped when I cut out the Winstrol, but put in EQ and Anadrol, and then I just bounced around. It's like, but it's minutia.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then as the shows went on, I think my body just got more tired, so I was able to push fullness more without losing any hardness and still being somewhat flat, so it is hard to judge, but I think the best thing is what everyone's recipe is, like Winstrol, Masteron, Test, and then one oral that is kind of making you look harder, like Halo Testin or Superdrol. I like the Superdrol. And then if you're in shape, you're in shape. You can't really, tell so much difference.
Yeah. I think that's the key thing. Just be in shape, right?
Yeah.
Now,
This
Yeah.
year, I think like this is the best up until this point. We'll see. Hopefully, I don't fuck it up. And then this has been the best result I've had, which has just been running a gram of test, a gram of Primo, and a gram of Masteron, and that's it. That's all I've been doing. 9 units of Pharma HGH every day, and that's all I've done. The whole prep kept it exactly the same.
I was listening before, and I think it's really interesting to run Winstrol right into the show. I think that's a really interesting tactic. I used to do that when I would help people design their protocols to step on stage. Winstrol was always pretty good to run right into the show. But I think it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting test for you, Big Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking to AJ. I mean, that's kind of what he does. He just runs it hard the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Goes high with the doses and
The appetite suppression is an issue. I used to overcome that with GHRP6 for people. You just give them a GHRP6 and they can eat.
Yeah,
Can I ask what's like the left and right limit for elevated Winstrol use during that last week? I mean, is it like is there like a minimum effective that he sees? Like it's 100, 200 milligrams up to like 300, or where is that range at?
I mean, he said if you can push it higher, push it higher.
It'd be individual dependent.
Yeah.
Didn't Kurt mention something about 200 milligrams of Winstrol being kind of a max dose from some sort of experience he had? It might have been your show. I think he had mentioned something.
Yeah, I don't remember. But I mean, it's only 200 it's like, I was talking to Kurt about it. It's like people are worried about liver toxicity and stuff. I mean, it's 200 milligrams for 7 days, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably did more damage at a party in college, hard weekend in college than that's going to do.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, back in the day, like the golden era, I mean, they were taking, several times over that and D-ball. So it's like they were surviving till now with tons of D-ball, and Arnold's still kicking. I'm sure Winstrol's fine in a short use.
Yeah, I heard this guy took D-ball by the handfuls.
yeah, the guy I told the story to Chase. One guy that trained at my gym at home when he was young, he did that was only the 5 milligram pills of Dianabol, right?
The Thai.
He always did 50 a day, 50 tablets.
A bottle a day.
And then when he got ready for one time, he got ready for some kind of a bench press contest or something like that, like a strength gym contest. And then he just bumped it to 100 a day.
Holy shit. That's good. Blood pressure must have been good.
500 milligrams of Dianabol a day.
I saw guys doing things like that. They would give themselves a rhabdo, though. They would either get an ulcer and give themselves a rhabdo.
Yeah.
I saw that happen a few times from taking just too many orals.
Where everybody's heard
He had to stop bodybuilding completely due to liver tumors.
Jesus Christ. There you go. That's probably
At 23.
What? Oh, man. That's fucked.
Yeah.
What was the story? Was it Andreas Munzer when they did his? I don't know if it's true or not, but when they did his autopsy, that basically when they took his liver out, it just fell apart.
That's what I read that too. I don't know how true it is, but I read that.
Yeah, it is. It is fucking true because my plastic surgeon, the one that did my gyno, he was he did his after medical school. You go through like in the hospital.
Residence.
Yeah, residencies.
And he was training to be a plastic board certified surgeon, and his boss plastic surgeon, you know what I mean, in that department, that was the guy who cut Munzer open.
Wow.
In an effort to save him. So they have him open on the table, and he told me that story. When they tried to reach under his liver and lift it up, it just ran through his fingers.
Wow.
Holy shit.
It's terrible.
And he told me that story without knowing the name of Andreas.
Holy crap.
He just told me, hey, there was this bodybuilder, back in 1996 when I was in school still, blah, blah, blah. And that's what we did. It's like, Is his name Andreas Munzer? He's like, oh yeah, could be. There was an article about him in Build magazine, and
Well, he got shredded.
Yeah. Yeah. I got one quick question for Ryan, actually, because I was going to ask the same thing to Roman. But when you're looking for something for aiding in building your appetite because it gets crushed for whatever reason, I know a lot of guys like MK677, but the water weight retention can be a little bit problematic depending on where you're at and your goal.
Yeah.
But you notice GHRP 6 or 2 both are going to increase the appetite without water issues?
No, you can get the, I mean, depending on the person, you can get the water retention. So like I would have to stop the ghrelin mimics like a few days before the show.
Yeah.
But it helps until then to increase their appetite so they can eat. Otherwise, that like Winstrol and a lot of those orals will just suppress their appetite so much that they can't force food down.
Yeah.
so
That's been my issue with orals in the past. That's why I don't run them in the off season. My appetite just goes to complete shit. I literally limit them to like the last 3 or 4 weeks before a show, and that is it. You know, at that point, like, who gives a fuck if your appetite goes to shit going into a show?
Yeah, matters so little at that point. It come welcomed, to be honest.
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. But the last 3 or 4 weeks, I was actually surprised. I did my blood work. Was it 2 weeks ago? And it was decent. There was 3 grams of gear. I was kind of like crossing my fingers, like, man, do I want to do this and find out that it's fucked up and I'm gonna have to pull out of the show, or should I just put the blinders on and go into the show and not worry about it until afterwards? That's a real bodybuilder thing to do, right?
Yeah.
And I got it back.
Anything, Roman, for appetite?
all I can say is I've never done anything in that regard. I've never tried MK677, GHRP, whatever, or cannabis or anything like that. No.
Just force the food down.
Yeah.
Yeah, my appetite's just going to crap as I've gotten older. I used to be able to hammer some food, as Colin can attest. I look back when I got fat for a while. Like I wouldn't say like, I don't know, I was probably 40, 50 pounds overweight. Like, not like stupid, but I think back about the impressive amount of calories that I was eating at that time to get that fat. So like my metabolism's always been pretty, I would literally eat a whole pizza.
Just casually. You know,
eat a whole pizza and finish it off with a pint of Ben and Jerry's. I mean, I would eat like 7,000 calories, 8,000 calories in a single sitting.
The fact that you weren't fatter is impressive.
Yeah, it was pretty, it was pretty impressive that I didn't get fatter than what I was.
You know, when bodybuilders, when they get older and they say that, I always wonder if they take into consideration that they are not doing that they have not done that as consistently, because I'm sure you didn't have 5 other ones that day.
No.
You know what I
true.
mean?
Yeah,
And
I would eat like once or twice a day.
If I barely eat like a regular person, you get up, you don't have breakfast, you just have a cup of coffee and a smoke, and maybe a bagel, and then at night you eat that 7,000 calorie pizza with the ice cream. Okay, because the next time I eat is probably in 20 hours or something like that, right? So it's not as consistent of a pounding as we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the
Oh,
same.
you underestimate me, Roman. Colin and I used to go get some, like I would get the foot-long sub at lunch.
Oh my God.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and eat that. I never ate breakfast. Usually it was like twice a day. I'd eat twice a day.
And then sometimes I would get a little sleepy in the afternoon too.
Yeah, why did
weird.
that happen?
Oh my God.
No idea why that happened.
We had some fat days. That was back when Paul was my boss.
Oh God.
And I'd be setting up my desk, just like doing my job, and he would roll up to my desk and be like, Come on, we're going to lunch. Your boss says we're going to lunch. All right, I guess I'm going to lunch. We'd be out for fucking like an hour or two, just fucking. They kicked us out of an Indian buffet one day.
No.
Just say that. I'm not.
You need to go.
That is the worst kind of buffet. Oh my god.
We saw a couple of the guys like running the place, sort of like standing in a corner, like chatting with each other, looking over at us, like pointing. We kept getting up and getting more food, and they're like, "Y'all gotta go."
I can imagine what the office smelled like after that. That's crazy.
And I wonder why I have GI issues now. Maybe it wasn't the antibiotics and Lyme disease. Maybe it was because I was such an asshole with what I
All
ate.
those fucking 12-inch subs and Indian buffets, man. It's just up to you.
If I just think about an Indian buffet right now, I get diarrhea.
God,
Oh man, should we take some questions?
probably.
God,
let's see
keep
what we-
there. Paid questions, please.
You heard him. We got Brad the Chad.
I love the name.
Great name. Had a partial tricep tear 18 months ago, mostly healed, but still doesn't feel a hundo. Soon starting 2 IUs of HGH daily. Also heard low dose EQ is good for collagen synthesis. What's your opinion?
Who goes first? Can I go first?
Go for it, Colton.
Okay. So first of all, everyone has a certain androgen that they're like it increases collagen synthesis, but I don't think people understand it's just androgens in general increase collagen synthesis. It's not that one or two is better than the other. It's just that all of them do the same thing. There's research to suggest that Anavar might have a more potentiated effect in terms of collagen synthesis, but not necessarily a solidified sense in comparison to D-bol or in comparison to just higher dose testosterone. So I would say that in your best bet, I would increase the growth hormone because 2 IUs a day at this point, if you're over the age of 30, is just a subpar replacement therapy dose for what growth hormone you'd be producing naturally. And then adding in things like collagen peptides at like 30 to up to 40 grams a day with vitamin C administration around that window of time would be beneficial in conjunction with taking androgens, and then just training effectively as well, being conscientious of like where that injury is and trying to move it through full ranges of motion without aggravating it too much.
That's exactly what I'm going to say. Just with training, don't be too scared of it.
Yeah.
Some people are just they're like, oh, it feels a little, I'm not going to do anything. Of course it feels a little funny. It's just been sewed together. So you have to move it. You have to stretch it. You have to flush it with nutrients and blood. So don't be scared to move it. So, and that's something I think most people shoot themselves in the foot with when they're trying to recover from an injury. They're just scared to move that injury. They're just scared to use it again.
I remember being terrified after my ACL tear, even when my doctor gave me the all clear, because I'd been through 2 of them. I'm like, I don't know if I can go through this again. I was that guy Roman was talking about.
Yeah. The only thing I would add is, I think if you tear something, this is for anybody, just use BPC and TB 500. It's just we have too much anecdotal evidence that it works really well. I don't know if it would help you at this point since it's 18 months later. Yeah. However, for anybody who tears something, use BPC in conjunction with what Kolton said.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just didn't say it because it was 18 months. I'm thinking, whatever tissues there may be calcified already. I'm not so sure, but in general, I think like amongst having the injury, like immediately, like take BPC, like load that shit up. It's a relatively cost-effective peptide. Yeah.
My post-surgery protocol was 5 units of GH, BPC, TB 500, and like 25 milligrams of Anavar. That's usually what I do.
There you go.
Now, Ryan, I don't know if you know, but I've heard a lot of different things about this. BPC has been said to be systemic, but then I've also seen a lot of doctors suggest that it needs to be localized, like a localized injection. I've had people like tell me crazy stories of them like injecting in their palm or wrist or right at the top of their foot for an ankle and like crazy shit like that. And it would be nice to know if like maybe you just need to pin it anywhere and it goes systemic. It doesn't really matter.
You know, it's really interesting. The science indicates that it needs to be localized. However, there's a lot of data that shows that there is some systemic action to it as well.
Yeah.
There's almost too much data showing that it is systemic. So even the pills, like the pills showed, if you took it orally, it showed definitive benefits as far as healing. When scientifically it doesn't really make sense that it should work. But it's more about what we actually see in the field. It's not, the science is good, but what's more important is what we actually see in the field. And we're seeing that it does work systemically. So I don't know. I tell people to do it locally just because that makes sense and it's not going to hurt that way. But there is some evidence that it works systemically as well.
What's your usual protocol? Is it like, there's so many different protocols. I usually do like every other day, a couple hundred micrograms. What do you typically?
Yeah, I actually, at first, after an injury, like twice a day.
Wow. Okay.
At the injury site.
200?
Oh, yeah, 200 twice a day. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I've never done that.
All right. This is I'm not sure what he's asking. This is a strange one here. Lose the fur one. The things you speak about are far out, but as far as the topics of appetite, can anyone speak to about what isn't food and has happened to regular people with the behavior change in monosodium glutamate?
Try again. Yeah.
Oh, man, I think I get where he's going with this. I think he's trying to talk about because there's a lot of good research that shows highly processed and palatable foods are causing more mental dysregulation within use, and there's a lot of data that suggests that like there is neurotransmitter disruption or endocrine system disruption through the foods. I don't think it's monosodium. There's no way it's sodium. It's not a sodium molecule in glutamate. That's just not a thing. It's more than likely just like being fat and insulin insensitive and like in terms of
metabolic disorder.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Are these people watching social media?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I don't think there's any one food.
That's definitely a cause for mental disruptions.
Yeah.
Colonel Muscle says it's systemic and science doesn't indicate that it must be localized. That's what I've always heard too, that it doesn't matter.
I've seen other data that suggests the opposite, but that's why it's so confusing. You can find a study for anything. I'm not saying he's wrong, but
it's MSG sodium's inflammatory.
Yeah, it's a sodium molecule with an amino acid attached. It's like I don't understand where people think it's this like demonized thing. It does obviously cause an exorbitant amount of water retention. But
it's just spelled delicious wrong.
Yeah.
Glutamate.
Talk about Indian buffet.
Is an amino acid. Yeah, it's very similar to glutamine.
Yeah, I would think MSG is probably far less complicated than a lot of the other things we do to our food supply, like chemical pesticides.
Yeah, exactly.
Food additives. I mean, I'd be way less worried about having some MSG on something than I would be about consuming like large amounts of chemically processed foods.
Right. I would say that at large, it's probably like microplastics and things like glyphosate and all those things sort of playing with people's psychology. I don't think it's sodium.
Pesticides.
Yeah. It's glyphosate,
I mean, I think a big part of it is just not being in shape. You notice that you can get away with more trash when you're in shape.
Yeah.
Because your body processes it, and it's also the dose dependent factor. Eating some Swedish fish when the bulk of your diet is extremely healthy is not going to have a negative impact. Or if you reverse it and have 90% of your calories coming from highly processed foods and 10% coming from anything real, that balance gets really far off. And at some point, our bodies are doing what they're supposed to do with the food we give them. But if we're giving them really altered food, things are going to start to get a little bit awry. I mean, I don't think you could ever argue with someone who has seen like ADHD, and giving their kids who have ADHD like large boluses of sugar. Like, yes, it's going to make it worse. Like, is that something wrong with the food? No, but it's also not helping. That those things don't necessarily help. So keeping things as close to natural as possible is always going to be best. I mean, but it doesn't mean that you can't still process the other stuff.
Oh God, dudes have a meltdown when they see me eat Swedish fish, and I'm like, I eat 6 meals 7 days a week. That's 42 meals. I have one meal out of those 42 that have Swedish fish with it. I'm like that's not going to kill
Not
me.
okay.
It's the same dudes
delicious
that are
meal.
taking trend made in somebody's bathtub in Tijuana, and they're worried about Swedish fish and red dye number 6 or whatever the fuck it is.
Right, or
I'm
heating
like,
up their food in the microwave in plastic, and they think that that's
Yeah.
okay.
I'm like the logical fallacy and the cognitive dissonance that's going on here. I'm just like, come on, man.
Mm. Yeah, it's funny.
People get hyper focused. It's like the fruit makes you fat thing. Like every time I post a picture of me eating fruit,
That drives me nuts. Yeah.
people are like, "You're gonna get fat eating fruit." I'm like,
It's so funny because I think what happens is bodybuilders want to optimize as much as possible, so they expand past anabolic stuff. They look at like longevity people on YouTube and these sort of megalomaniacs on Instagram talking about like these really extreme longevity sort of protocols, and they start to fall in line with those. And then it's like, okay, well, like you shouldn't be eating fructose because this, and it's just kind of crazy. It doesn't actually, it doesn't apply in most situations. And as much as people, it's the same thing we've always talked about. Like conviction is always going to show people that, like if you can just show an extreme amount of conviction, people will follow. And it's unfortunate because then they start to believe these things, and it becomes like a delusion of grandeur where it's like, this is the right thing and this guy's wrong and he's doing it and he's going to kill himself and everyone should know about it.
I mean, I eat 20 to 30 grams of fructose a day. I've done the math
Oh,
on
wow.
it. I mean, that's like if I was slamming 500 grams of it, that'd probably be a problem, right?
Yeah.
Right. But you're not like eating Coke. You're not drinking Coke and, throwing back like high fructose corn syrup every other meal. You're just eating a couple pieces of fruit, and that's the differentiating factor.
No, you wouldn't want to be getting 500 grams of carbs from one single food source all the time, anyhow, regardless.
I mean, screw that, Dave. I eat 500 grams worth of Swedish fish, so
Yeah.
you speak for yourself, man.
And it's my
Sometimes Captain
burner
Crunch.
account. It's my burner account that's giving you crap on the.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's funny too because a lot of these people don't do what we do in terms of like blood work or organ imaging, and like we kind of know what's happening to our bodies pretty intricately. And I mean, I know, Paul, you've done like you did a liver ultrasound, right? And you actually saw that you had a little bit of fatty liver disease, and then it kind of went away once you had lost fat.
Yeah, once I went on prep and did my first hard prep, it went away. Yeah, I had a fatty strip on my liver after I was eating whole pizzas and ice cream. Imagine that. I don't know how that happened.
Exactly. So it's like if you can't do these own tests on yourself and you're subjectively coming to someone's profile and then being like, you're wrong because of what someone else said or what I think. And it's like, okay, well, let's see your labs. Let's see your interpretation of 10 years of work. It's not there.
My doctor couldn't believe it either. He said he'd never seen anybody reverse a fatty strip on their liver before.
Yeah. Well, there's good research to suggest that 10% of a body weight drop, like a BMI drop, is all you need to completely ameliorate fatty liver disease. Like they're, who is
10%.
it?
10%.
10% of your total body weight.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, for like a 300-pound guy, that's a fuck ton of weight for 30 pounds. But for most people, that's a change in carbohydrate, intake, and you're done. So.
All right, what do we got next here? What do we want to take next? I think we got some more.
We got Vigilia Eternus.
That looks like a gnarly gyno in that photo. Sorry.
Mr. Root.
That's the question.
Ways to raise HSBG and effect on delivery of free tea.
Thanks, Virgilia. He's been on my. I do a question and answer TRT show on Thursday nights, and he's been on there too. Yeah, so I've been doing deep dives into SHBG, and I've come to realize just how important it is. SHBG has many functions. One of them is that it helps non-genomic action to phosphorylate coactivators to make when we transfer the testosterone-bound androgen receptor to the DNA to facilitate that action. SHBG plays an important role in that through receptors on the cell surface, again, non-genomic action. So it actually helps increase the efficacy of the testosterone that we have. And so you can see it as a defense mechanism. We've evolved many defense mechanisms to deal with fluctuating hormones, both high hormones and low hormones. One of the defense mechanisms for high hormones is as our androgens goes up, our SHBG goes down, which reduces the sensitivity to the testosterone's genomic effect. So it's a defense mechanism, right? So I've found that when I can keep people's SHBG up in a more optimal range, we can actually increase the efficacy of the testosterone. So some of these ways, here I have them all written down right here. Reduce sugar intake. Insulin will crush your SHBG. Increase fiber, mainly because this reduces glucose spikes. Glucose is what really kills SHBG, along with androgens. Let's see. So SHBG increases in a fasting state physiology. You can, I don't know, some of these wouldn't be prudent if you're bodybuilding. But they're more prudent in my context of where I'm trying to get people to feel better from their testosterone in a TRT context. But you can try a fasting state physiology. So intermittent fasting may help increase it. Vitamin A, D, and K increases SHBG. Exercise and cardio is important. Olive oil can increase SHBG. Estrogen increases SHBG. So if we're crushing estrogen too much, it can actually reduce the production of SHBG and as a thyroid hormone. So a lot of times when I have guys with single digit SHBG, I can give them T3 or T4 to stimulate the production of SHBG. And so all of these help.
Awesome. We had a follow up on that MSG question. I will say this about MSG. I don't eat it. I found that it gives me migraines. I know some people have. It has been shown to cause migraines in some people. I get migraines super easily. I have found that it spikes my blood pressure. What do they call it? Chinese restaurant syndrome, I think is what they used to call it. Yeah. So, I mean, if it bothers you, don't eat it. But I think most of the studies I just plowed through and I found, thank you, ChatGPT, but most of the studies that show that it's safe for most people. There are some people that do get migraines and stuff from it. So if it bothers you, don't eat it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like sulfates in wine. People get headaches from wine.
Yeah, I can't do wine either. I can't do sulfates. I can't do wine. So MSG, I'm hypersensitive to it. I don't eat it, but I don't think it's, out of the things that could kill you, it's probably pretty low on the things to worry about. That's all we were saying.
Yeah, if we're looking to manage hunger too, that's one thing that I'd keep out. I'd avoid is the MSG itself.
Well, they put it in food to make it more palatable, right?
Yep.
Right. So when we're talking about things that get put in food that can alter like your dopamine hit of wanting that again, driving hunger up, I'd avoid that myself.
It's the same thing with high fructose corn syrup, like Kurt was talking about it. It's not so much that the high fructose corn syrup itself is bad for you. It's that it seems to drive the palatability of food up, and you can basically eat unlimited amount of foods. There's that whole...
It's not being recognized by the brain.
Right.
Yeah, I can't remember the book. I read it. I actually told Kurt about it. I don't know if...
I think it's salt, sugar, fat.
Salt, sugar, fat.
It talks about the bliss point of food.
Yeah, but there was this one guy. He was God damn it, I can't remember the name of it, but he was a reporter for the Washington Post, and he went through and did like this digging on the whole food industry, and it was basically, I don't want to say the name because I don't want to get sued, but it's in the book about a fast food restaurant and a cola company that figured out that when people were drinking colas with sugar in it, that their appetite was being suppressed, and they were like, hey, we can't be selling these large sodas at our fast food restaurant because people aren't buying the large meals anymore. And the soda company figured out, their engineers, their chemists figured out that high fructose corn syrup does not signal leptin at all. And
Sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, and then they switched to that. It's cheaper than sugar too.
Yeah, much.
And so it actually causes you to eat more. You don't
For-
get
So for anyone who's interested in that subject, just listen to the last 2 episodes of this podcast. And basically all we talked about was that topic you just said, and fructose, and getting fed of fructose, and how much fructose you can eat, and how it's. So just be ashamed that you have not listened to the last 2 episodes. Okay.
And there's other quality things in there too, I'm sure. But yeah, Kurt brought up an interesting proposition that you could maybe even leverage high fructose corn syrup for people that have.
That was my idea, not Kurt.
Oh, yours. Yeah, right. Yeah, you guys were talking about it for people with low appetite, where you could stimulate appetite with high fructose corn syrup. I don't know that I'd want to test that theory, but
Sounds like a slippery slope right there.
all right. Next question. You might get fatty liver disease, but you're going to eat a ton.
Not if you burn it, right?
True. Yes.
Right.
Burning Tags asks, is there any way to mitigate the numb hands from GH? I've been on about 4 IU every day for almost 2 months, and I've just accepted it so far, but it's pretty uncomfortable.
Take more, brother, and then you get used to it.
Yeah, that's
I noticed
something around cold.
I was going to say, I noticed when I would take my GH only at night, I didn't seem to have any issues waking up with numb hands. When I would take it in the morning throughout the day, I'd periodically get numbness in my hands, but I don't know if the timing might be something worth playing with. That's just one thought.
Notice it less when it's at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's something like that. Tendinopathy is kind of just what you have to, I think Paul, you made a post about this or something relevant to it recently, but people expect to do this game without any side effects. And it's not to say that you should experience all bad side effects, but there's going to be side effects. Biology doesn't give you free lunch, Yeah.
Get surgery.
Yeah.
I had like a couple years ago, and I've never had a problem since. 2 little scars. That's it. No big deal.
It's funny. I used to get
No big deal.
Just get surgery. Get a new hip and you can squat again.
Yeah. No biggie.
I used to get numb hands from GH at low doses, and I don't know what changed. I just don't. It doesn't bother me anymore at all.
You're probably not holding as much water anymore as you.
Yeah, probably. I'm just less fat. Maybe being leaner.
I wonder if he jumped right to 4 units off the bat. I know that's kind of relatively low in our eyes, but maybe back down until the side effects go away, and then titrate your way up until that starts to come into play, and hopefully you get used to it, or maybe you find that you're just sensitive to it, or like Paul says, maybe too much water weight retention, maybe lean that out a bit.
Some people are just genetically inclined to have that, because my mother has both hands surgically opened up, I guess, too, and she has never taken it, trust me.
Yeah.
So I was probably born with that kind of narrow thing here.
Yeah.
So
Carpal tunnel.
Yeah. Once I got I had it when I was a kid in school. My hands would fall when I was writing essays or something like that, or tests, and I had to hold a pencil for long. The pain was unbearable. And then I also even went to a doctor, neurologist, and they tested me and they said, yeah, you have to get surgery. But I figured at that age, I was like 15, 14. I'm not gonna have surgery. I'm just dealing with it, And then I started bodybuilding, and I never got fat. I never got watery or anything like that. So it was fine. And once I started really taking the GH and everything, it got just too bad and I couldn't sleep anymore. And then I did it for bodybuilding. So I did surgery.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that my mom had to have the carpal tunnel surgery. It seems to be worse in my left hand than my right hand, but I really don't get it anymore. I definitely being leaner and holding less water has made it better. I also have been running pharma grade growth hormones. I don't know if that has any impact on it or not either.
I'm sure anyone here or anyone who's listening, they all have it in the off season and they don't have it when they're getting ready for a show like the last couple. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, it doesn't bother you on prep, and that would be an indicator that it's water retention issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how water retention can keeping your water issues in check and mitigate so many issues.
It's the same thing with blood pressure. I have to come off my blood pressure meds at the end of prep.
Or insulin.
I don't need insulin either. Like even on my high day, sometimes I'll go hypo when I use insulin at the end of prep. So your body is just working better. Usually my blood work is better on prep until I throw the rolls, and then it goes to shit.
It's all cardio and activity being driven up.
Yep. All right. What do we got next year?
That's right.
The gentleman who was asking about MSG has added another thing here. I don't know. I think maybe he's using Google Translate. I'm not 100% sure what you're looking to say here, man. I don't want to like read it and sound like I'm trying to make fun of it or something. But
maybe he's wondering if the MJ would get old people to eat. I mean, they do use it for cancer patients.
Is that what he's talking about?
I think maybe like the most
I'm not
maybe
understanding the
illicit, not studied, but illicit substance. I mean, like I said, they definitely do. People who are undergoing chemotherapy and having difficulty eating. Definitely something in Colorado that is widely.
So he's saying like
used.
maybe it's better. Maybe it's okay for older people who just need the appetite. Who need to eat, but for other people, it's probably not a good idea, is what he's saying. Because you might
some gummies.
You might go to Fat Town.
Yeah, maybe that's
hard to make out what you're asking there. Lose the fur.
All right, what do we got?
Thank you, though. I have important. Sorry,
I'm the mayor of Fat Town. We all smoke weed here. Good one, Robert.
I keep a bungalow in that town. I have a timeshare. I have an important question. Guys, I really like the podcast, but I'm deathly afraid of women. Can you please try to keep this in mind for the future?
Oh, man. We had too many women on today.
That one made me chuckle. Let's see here.
Casey's got a pretty
Casey's
easy
question. Yeah.
one there.
Any opinions on daily pinning versus weekly or twice weekly? Asks Casey.
Yeah,
and the more frequent, the more stable your blood levels are going to be.
Yeah.
Although
I actually noticed less welts and lumps by just volume of oil being smaller. Even though you're administering daily, I'm able to kind of pinpoint spots and keep, the soreness down, the lumps down, the negative shots. Because I used to have problems with maybe 1 out of every 5 shots would kind of blow up.
Although I will say, my off-season shot protocol is when I remember to take it.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, damn, when was the last time I did anything? Was it last Tuesday?
Yeah.
And then I'll just fill the needle up.
But Paul, you've shown that chart. What is it? Chartmycycle.com, I believe.
Oh, steroid powder.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah, steroidcycle.com or chartmysteroidcycle.com or something. But it does show if you put in your frequency in the actual drug choice, it'll show you how to keep your blood serum levels more steady, depending on your frequency of.
Well, you'll notice it too. You'll get more estrogen conversion when you take less frequent shots with testosterone. At least that's what I've seen.
Yeah, and it gives a good visual though. Like if you're a visual learner, you'll be able to see why daily pinning would be more beneficial with some of those charts. Well,
I have also noticed that clients of mine get more hematocrit higher hematocrit numbers if they get like once weekly shots or once every 2 weeks even, which I think is asinine, by the way.
That's crazy.
Well, that's what TRT doctors
compared
do.
to like daily dosages.
I have I was talking to a client of mine who's going to TRT doctor that was having him come in once every 2 weeks, and he's like, "Does that seem right?"
No.
Doesn't seem right to me. Nope.
Does your body produce testosterone every 2 weeks? No.
Nope. All right, we got another one. I got about one or two more in me. I'm losing my voice.
Yeah, I gotta do legs.
This one's sort of, since we've got Amy on the show, probably have some insight. Robert, aren't there some injuries or surgeries you shouldn't use peptides for? I remember Todd saying something about breast augmentation being one. Would this apply to gyno surgery?
Oh, yeah, I know Todd was talking about it for scar tissue buildup.
Yeah, and I remember Todd saying that, and there is definitely something to be said for allowing your body to heal at the appropriate pace for breast implants specifically, because your body will form a capsule around any type of implanted anything in your body. Specifically with a breast implant, what you don't want, which you probably, the most common complication, let's say, of breast implants is called capsular contracture, where you form a capsule around the implant that starts to overproduce and like constrict the implant. It actually causes the implant to be really hard, and it can kind of cause it, like I see it on competitors all the time, especially bikini competitors, when they pose in certain ways and they kind of flex their pec even a little bit, like they have an implant that sits really high, and that's from capsular contracture. So I think what Todd was getting at with that was that the theory would be that if you sped up the healing process, that perhaps that capsule could form more quickly or more aggressively, which I don't think is true. I just don't see how that could be the case. At the same time, I don't know that I'd take that chance, not knowing if that would be the case with a breast implant specifically. Now with gyno, totally different. You're taking breast tissue out. You're just allowing the body to heal. So I would think it would be the same with any other surgical protocol to do the BPC afterward. But with breast implants or any implanted device, you don't want to kind of cause your body to form collagen in an inappropriate way or too rapidly or too aggressively. That's why we actually prescribe Accolade for patients who may be prone to having capsular contracture. And it shows it's for asthma. Oh, it's an asthma medication. Mm-hmm. And they've seen in studies that if people who have had capsular contracture in the past who have an implant exchange, we take the capsule out, that doing a prophylactic dose of Accolade can actually help mitigate that. And potentially just because of the anti-inflammatory effects of the Accolade is kind of the theory behind it. So, for implants, give it 6 weeks and then maybe do the BPC if you're super insistent on doing it.
Amy, would ibuprofen work similarly
to Accolade? No, a little bit different mechanism. So ibuprofen and those types of drugs work on the inflammatory process through a different pathway, essentially. So it would be slightly different now.
Yeah, but would it have the same effect, the same end effect, the same result?
No. And I can say that pretty definitively because ibuprofen is used in so many people after surgery, and it does not show any anecdotal correlation to having reduced rates of capsular contracture.
Okay.
So no, a little bit different. I mean, just a different mechanism of action with ibuprofen versus Accolade.
So ibuprofen is only when you want to prevent calcification.
Ibuprofen, I've not seen studies on ibuprofen specifically preventing calcification, like around a type of implant. Is that the?
But I mean, after surgery, when you get, for example, with my hip, they told me you got to take ibuprofen for at least 2 weeks because we don't want the whole thing to calcify.
Yeah,
Also,
and that's just keeping the inflammation down. That would be the mechanism there, is just keeping the inflammation down around the implant. Again, anytime you've got a healing process happening, you have a lot of collagen, a lot of elastin, a lot of these kind of inflammatory markers are also at the site because it's a site of injury. So preventing those kind of more inflammatory processes from continuing around a site of injury. Body doesn't know the difference between surgery and injury. So it's going to try and heal it the same way. So that, could in theory kind of slow that process of inflammation, which is going to, get all that stuff out of there more quickly and help with healing in a more appropriate way.
So I was going to say, like, inflammation, the swelling and inflammation is part of the healing process. So interrupting that too quickly or not enough, not like managing it, could be a problem in the healing process. So if you're going to inject something that doesn't allow your body to naturally heal, that could be a problem too.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to get one more, or are we good?
Let's get one more.
Is it a paid one?
I mean, it's lose the fur again. I'm still having trouble understanding what point he's trying to make. I just want to be clear, like, we're cool, bro. It's all good. I hope you're a fan.
It's all good.
Really happy that you're here. I also think I'm the shit. So I agree with you there. But yeah, I don't 100% know what you're getting at, but thank you very much for being a fan, I hope.
All the paid questions, yeah.
I think this one is a little bit hostile.
I don't know. I hope not. It's hard to tell.
Just lost in translation.
Just let me tell you, you're the shit too, man.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a compliment right there.
I don't know if I'm the shit or if I'm just shitty, but
You're the
Depends on
shit.
who you ask.
There's at least shit involved.
depends on how recently we visited the Indian buffet, right?
Yeah.
I did want to. This is what I did want to add. This guy asked, "What was the most optimal meal frequency?" He was talking about. Let's see, if someone had to lose 30 pounds and you have them do low, medium, high days or static calories, and then would you plan for them to lose it all in one dieting phase, or would you split it up into multiple phases? What?
So we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
I think when someone's losing a lot of weight, it needs to be split up into multiple phases.
30 pounds. 30 pounds is doable in one dieting phase.
30 pounds is doable for sure. That's but if
doable.
you're,
Depending on
I
the
would
size
say
of
if
the
you're
human.
like metabolically, if you're just starting your journey, it might be a little less doable than if any one of us was to lose 30 pounds. And maybe doing it in phases might be a better approach, especially if that person is under muscled. But in terms of the optimal meal frequency, I usually say it's just anywhere between 4 to 6 meals a day is typical.
You know what's optimal for anyone, especially when they're like regular people? Whatever you can.
Yeah.
stick to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Optimal
Consistency.
is whatever you can consistently maintain within your daily life.
Absolutely.
If we told him, man, optimal is 6 meals a day, and he's working in the hospital 12-hour shifts, running around in the ER, something like that, he can't sit down every 2.5 hours and have a full meal. So whatever is optimal for your daily schedule is optimal. At the end, it's just calories in versus calories out.
Yeah.
And him asking about the static or cycling approach, I think personally, cycling is easier for most people because there are very, very hard days, but then there are also days that kind of level you off and give you something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Instead of just, while you're dieting, just gradually decreasing your food over 4 months and then just gradually getting more miserable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Keeps it
exactly.
If you have those spikes in there, it makes it a lot easier.
I find having that, if for nothing else, having that high day in there psychologically, like, like I've only got to make it 3 more days. I only got to make it 2 more days.
Yeah.
Right.
For
That's
people, like with the acceptable rates of fat loss, what I usually shoot for, it depends on, like, I think Amy touched on, it depends on the size of a person. Like a 250-pound man, it's going to be way different than it is for a 135-pound woman, right? Because there's only so far down you can take calories. I mean, it's just simple math at the end of the day. I mean, if you're at 1,800 calories as your BMR, how low are you going to take it? 1,200, 1,300, right? So, I mean, you're talking about a 500 calorie a day deficit. I mean, you're only going to lose a pound a week of fat at that point. But whereas like somebody like me who can eat 5,000-6,000 calories and not get fat, I can create a 1,000 calorie a day deficit no problem and still be eating a ton of food.
Right.
So it's really just, it's some of it's individual. And once again, like Roman said, it's the best diet. It's the one you can follow.
Yeah. Also remember,
Really.
the faster you drive your weight down on the scale, the more aggressive a rebound can be if you come off that diet. So say you wanted to lose that 30 pounds, you do it in 10 weeks, 3 pounds a week. Be careful, because that could be a very aggressive yo-yo and rebound of your weight going up if you don't manage the end of that phase properly. And
Colton, I'm curious of what you do, but I like, for me, like I shoot for 1 to 2 pounds a week of fat loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I take average for all my clients. I have them weigh every day, and then I take their average weight and I compare it to the previous weeks, and then I calculate
exactly
the
what I
percent
do.
loss. And so if there's greater than a 1% total body weight drop, I get a little bit concerned, because I'm like, okay, this is potentially a bit too far, because the repercussions are detrimental, right? You're talking about a lot of lean tissue loss. You're talking about rebounding effects not being so advantageous. Psychologically, it's definitely harder. Even if someone can handle it, it's like 2 weeks later they might not be able to handle it. So
yeah.
I had somebody really quickly was asking me about, with my workout program, they're still sore from their last workout. Should they do it? I'm like, just take a day off.
Yeah.
It's a simple one.
Or do it. No one's gonna, in the grand scheme of things, 20 years from now, are you gonna regret having trained when you were sore? Or,
Right.
I don't think so.
I think you should do like your profile picture there, Oakley. Instead of training balls out, just relax balls out.
Yeah, yeah. Hell yeah.
That's a great profile pic.
We got time for one more, Paul, since we got
yeah, I'm losing my voice. There's somebody else.
We got Roman on today. We have a Roman question from Fit Dad 67. Roman, I had a hip replaced recently. I think you've had 3. If you had 3, any limiting effects from the surgeries, like impingement or anything? How did you rehab it?
So if it's recently, I can tell you, don't worry, the impingement will go away. So when you lift your leg up real high, riding a bike or something like that, it will hurt. Don't worry. For after 6 or 8 months, the latest, everything will be completely gone and you'll be fine. So don't worry. That's just residual water retention in there, and after surgery it's always kind of a little bit stiff still, so don't worry, that will go away. You'll be rid of all the impingement, because that was my worry every time as well. So don't worry about the impingement, you're good.
Awesome.
As far as limiting range of motions and everything, that will pass also. If anything, you'll have more range of motion on that hip afterwards. Trust me. I can, no joke, when I stand like this, I can rotate my legs inwards so that my feet are pointing like this.
Holy crap.
Like no joke, okay? And I haven't done any special rehab stuff. I just went back into the gym, started doing all the exercises I've done previously with lightweight or even no weight. Just the first time I squatted, free weight squatted, was just sitting on the stool of my lat pull down station and getting back up. 3 sets of 15. And that's how I progressed my strength until I was back at 4 plates. Mm-hmm. So don't worry, just be patient, do your thing. Don't be afraid also, like we said previously, you can put weight on that thing. Don't worry, it's titanium and ceramic and plastic. It won't break. Mm-hmm. If anything, the other hip is gonna break, the natural one. Yeah. So you'll be fine. Just do your regular exercises, the ones you did before. Don't worry, you can deadlift, you can squat, you can bent over row. Just be smart about it. And my rule always was, if something hurts to the point where it's too uncomfortable, don't do it. If something doesn't hurt, don't be afraid to do it. No matter what any doctor says. Okay?
Roman, would you say that range of motion is pretty key early on with, knees, hips is something that I've understood is that if you don't push through a little bit of the pain reasonably well, for the range of motion, you might not get it back as easily later down the road.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I've seen also with pec tears. When people have pec tears and they baby it all the time and they keep it, they never get all that range, or it's very hard to get all that range of motion back. Or with quad tears where they strap you in that apparatus and they really force your knee to bend backwards. So get that range of motion, but don't worry, you will not. He's going to be fine. Just use common sense a little bit,
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, my dad got his his knee replaced a couple weeks ago, and the next day he was already walking up and down the stairs with a cane. That's what he was supposed to do, and he's doing great.
Yeah, you can't be scared, man. Don't worry, and the pain will go away. Trust me, the impingement, everything like that, it will pass.
I just Built for More is just shouting this out, saying y'all add so much value to my life. I don't even listen to music anymore. It's all bodybuilding podcasts and training videos. Love and appreciate you guys. Right back at you, man. Appreciate
the
it
sultry
more.
tones of our voices in your ears while you.
Could I do a personal plug before we get off today?
Absolutely, man.
I post a lot of YouTube videos, and I don't think a lot of people realize it. And I put a ton of money into them. And I'm especially coming out with 2 ones that are quite lengthy and more like video essay based about bodybuilders who have passed and kind of dissecting the whole situation and everything that happened leading up to that. So if you guys are interested in any kind of bodybuilding content related to sort of journalism, but also education based stuff, I would head over to my channel, and it's literally just my name, Kolton Lucas. If you type that in, it'll pop up, and tons of content there. So that's it.
Anytime you got anything worth sharing to Colton, let me know. I'll share it on my channel.
Oh yeah.
I'm having trouble finding you, Colton.
Did you spell my name right? Kolton, Kolton, Lukes.
Oh, I spelled your last name wrong.
It's okay. Everyone does it.
Lukas?
ES.
ES. Jesus. All right.
Yeah.
Because that spells Luke's, not Lucas. I'm just saying.
I know, it's German. It's Luke. It's Luke's.
You're fucking me up, man. I'm already subscribed to you. But yeah, I like your stuff. I was just checking to make sure I'm subscribed. I like your new banner art.
Yeah, thank you. Someone made it for me, so I threw it up because I thought it looked cool.
It is cool, like a comic book.
Yeah.
All right.
That being said, I don't even put $1 into my YouTube. But I have made a diary after the last surgery, daily diary, recording the whole rehab process I did when I got to the gym. You can watch all that, all the supplements I've taken, all the, So just go to my YouTube and check that out.
Amy's got a channel too, and so does Dave and Jackie. Amy's got
her also, right?
Prep vlog up.
Yep.
Paul,
Amy has a very peaceful voice.
True.
Paul.
Yeah.
You have a channel as well, right?
Yes. Why people want to listen to me is beyond me still.
Yeah. You're on it, Roman.
These are literally ramblings I used to have to myself or Colin at the gym, and Colin's like, just put that up on YouTube. And I did, and people like listening to it for some reason. So on that note, we love each and every one of you guys. Thank you for the support. Appreciate you watching. I'm losing my voice.